Hello, everybody. I am Hossein. Here, I want to teach you some points about IELTS writing. This is a very difficult task for all the students. Usually, most students have difficulty getting a good score here. So I'm going to help you a little bit to know why this happens. So, first of all, the criteria for the IELTS writing. So, this is the public band descriptors for writing task do. You can easily find it on the internet. It's the public version, which means that this is a general definition of what writing task requires. And the examiners have more detailed definitions for each part. For example, for task response, you see three bullet points here which just tells you, for example, what task response requires. But the examiners have more of these. And for each part, they have sub-branches, for example. But this gives a general idea, and it's very important to learn what it actually is. So let's go ahead. First of all, so as you see, we have 9 bands. So the IELTS writing is scored from 0 to 9, 9 being the highest score. And for each band score, you have 4 criteria: task response, coherence, and cohesion, lexical resource, grammatical range, and accuracy. Most students are working towards band 6 or 7. If you get 7, actually, it's a very good score. So I've had students who got 8 for speaking, reading, listening, but they couldn't get 7 for writing. Many of my colleagues actually, they can't get a score like 8 for writing or 8 plus for writing. So, because there are some things that you need to know for writing, and it's mostly related to task response, in my opinion. So I'm going to now tell you, for example, what you need to do in order to get a band 7 writing. So as I just said, task response is a very important criterion. What task response is, you can find it here. Task response, let me zoom in. Task response for band 7 means your answer, your writing addresses all parts of the task. So the writing for task 2, for example, generally deals with 2 different aspects. So it's 2 different views, or, advantages and disadvantages. And at least it's like problem solution. So when you are not actually talking about both aspects of a view, like not both advantages and, sorry, it's my cat. When you're not talking about both advantages and disadvantages sufficiently, you cannot get a high score. You're not sufficiently. Sufficient means to answer to something with enough details, enough explanation. So you get 7 if you address all parts of the task, but you don't have a clear position throughout the response. So this is the difference, so from 8, band 9. Usually this is the Achilles heel, the weak point of students. You might get lower scores if you are not addressing the all parts of the task uh, efficiently and sufficiently. Some parts could be covered more than others. Like you talk about advantages for 8 lines, but for disadvantages, you just write 4 lines. And it just means that you cannot be objective. Maybe you have a bias toward the advantages. You have more ideas there. So yeah, we could show that you have some weakness in other aspects of your language, like could be your lexical resource, or your grammatical range. So this is very important. This part is very important. Presenting a relevant position throughout the essay. This is very important. If you want to get the full score, your answer needs to be well developed. So 7 is the range between 6 and 8. Hello, this is my cat. So he's curious to see what I'm doing here. Well, you can get 7 if you are just have the balance between 6 and 8. 8 is a good point. Your answer is well developed. Your details are relevant. You're supporting the ideas, the main ideas. And 6 is when there are not enough details, as you see here. The main ideas are not adequate, not enough, not clear enough, so you get a low score. Well, 6 is good, if you cannot actually do that. For example, uh, you address the task only partially. For example, you cannot write about the disadvantages. The question wants both advantages and disadvantages. You cannot write about the disadvantages. So you get 5, you know. So and lower if you have also some other problems. Uh, for band 7 is just between 8 and 6, so you you support your ideas, but not very well. Sometimes there are over generalizations, and there's not enough focus. Maybe, for example, you are talking about the advantages in a paragraph, then you start saying something that is not exactly an advantage, so you're not focusing enough on each paragraph. So this actually gives you a span score 7, not 8, for example. Well, to just put it briefly one more time to make it clear for you, your paragraphs need to be well developed. And generally speaking, you need to have a focus in each paragraph. The paragraph needs to have a central idea, and the details need to support it well. So if you do it very well, you can get 8. But if you just try to do it and you cannot do it very well, still you can hope for band 7. So what I'm trying to say, it's not impossible to get 7, but you need to work towards a well-developed paragraph. If you just try to just write anything that comes from your mind and then just uh, say, okay, I did it, I wrote 250 words for task 2 and I hope I can get a good score. No, it's not going to happen, unfortunately. So the second part is coherence and cohesion. As you are writing your sentences, you need to organize them. You need to join the sentences together. And there needs to be a clear progression throughout. So when I'm reading your writing, I should be able to just follow the sentences logically. So I don't need to say, oh, what's this? Why did he say that? Or why is he writing this? If I get confused, so it means that your writing is not clear. so it's not effective. Mm. Uh, so, for example, the problem could be about the linking devices. The cohesive devices means like the words like although, while, but, and, furthermore, on one hand, on the other hand. These are called linking devices or cohesive devices. Maybe you're not using them effectively, or you're not actually making clear paragraphs. There needs to be clear paragraphs, and each paragraph needs to be joined with the previous paragraph, and also it needs to lead to the next paragraph. So your paragraphs need to have a topic sentence, so the main idea should be understood from the first line, usually. And preferably your paragraphs need to have a concluding sentence. So I know as a reader, so you have actually developed your idea and this is the end. So, and well, after this, another topic is going to start. So this is very important skill. And well, it's something that usually students can manage, more easily than other tasks. So the third one here is lexical resource, very important one. I have a lot to tell you about this. Sufficient range of vocabulary to allow some flexibility and precision. Well, let's go ahead with the details here. A sufficient range of vocabulary. What does it mean? Well, if you are, for example, an engineer, you might have many technical words, I mean, English words in your major. So you are very knowledgeable in your major. So, for example, you are an architect. So about architecture, you have a lot of technical words. But for example, if I ask you who's your singer or what do you think about music, maybe you don't have enough English words to talk about that topic. So in this case, if you are asked to write about music, then you cannot show a good range of words. And on IELTS, it's important to have a wide range of words to talk about a variety of topics. So this is, for example, band 7, and you need to have a sufficient enough words to talk about different topics. So there are some common topics. They're not going to ask very difficult questions, but for example, there are some common topics like music, hobbies in general, uh, education, occupation, job, I mean, working environment, a little bit about politics, about the governments, and, for example, about the environment, the nature. So these are some general topics you need to have some word for. If you don't, then unfortunately you cannot get a good score. You need to use them with some flexibility. This is very important. When you're writing a passage, um, you might, for example, use some words repeatedly because you don't know any other word for it. Imagine, for example, you are saying it is good that people be educated, for example. And then you say, uh, good education can improve the society. And then you say, for example, a good society can benefit everybody. So you are saying good, good, good again and again. So it shows that you are not using the words flexibly. You need to be able to use the words, use the synonyms, you need to paraphrase them, paraphrase your sentences to show that you have more words. You're not repeating the same word again and again. And when you're just repeating the same word again and again, you're not precise. You're not stating yourself clearly, exactly what you mean. So you say, for example, my manager is good. What does it mean? My manager is good. You say, my friend is very good. So what does it mean? When you say my manager is good, it might mean that your manager is very understanding and maybe very organized or very, I don't know, serious. For some people, being serious is good. For some people, not being serious. My manager is good because he's funny. Also, but my manager is good. He's really serious. So for some people, being serious is good. For some people, not being serious, being funny is good. So when you're just saying something so general like my manager is good, you're not being precise enough. So the next point, using less common lexical items. To just go back to what I said, so in those examples, you could say, for example, my manager is very serious instead of good. So I can understand uh, what your manager looks like, what he is like, and if you just say he's good, I won't understand. Or my friend is really funny. I'm not saying my friend is really good. I like him. So good. Next one uses less common lexical items. So less common lexical items are words like, for example, the word face. Hmm? Uh, so, this is my face, right? But sometimes you try to use the word, for example, face, uh, as a verb. So you might say, I faced a very big problem yesterday. So in this case, face is a verb. And this is a less common lexical item. Lower level students don't know face as a verb. They normally know this is my face. Also, if you say I faced a problem, they might get confused. But if you want to actually show that you are a higher level student, you need to show that actually you have such words. So this is really essential. So let me go ahead with the next one, awareness of style and collocation. A very important point. Here I want to introduce a few sources that I normally use, to correct my students' writings and to help them to use more collocations. What is collocation? First of all, uh, the collocation in Turkish. Collocation is words coming together. We use words coming together. Let me see if collocation has a word, a meaning in Turkish. Sıralama, I don't know. I'm not sure. Uh, yana yana olma. When two words are together, yan yana, yan yana. They are besides each other. For example, in Turkish, you say kahvaltı yapmak, kahvaltı yaptım. But you say öğle yemeği yedim. So why? What's the difference? Why do you say kahvaltı yaptım, but you say öğle yemeği yedim, akşam yemeği yedim? It's the collocation, to just use these words together, right? So in English, we have the same thing. And in English, I want you to use this in your practices, online collocation dictionary. It's freecollocation.com. So here, for example, you want to use the word influence in your writing. But you don't know which words collocate with influence. For example, can we say influence very high, influence very much, influence greatly, significantly? Which word is better? So you can just search here. You can write the word influence, and then you have some collocations. For example, we have adjective collocations. For example, we say a big influence, a considerable influence. You have verbs plus influence, influence as a noun, have an influence, to So if you want to use influence as a noun, you might be looking for the verbs that collocate with influence, to be under an influence of something. Then you have, for example, adjectives, adjectives for a noun. Influence as a verb, so considerably. Influence something profoundly. This book influenced her profoundly. So you can write very much. This book influenced me very much. But it's like, saying kahvaltı yedim. It's not normal, right? So you don't say kahvaltı yedim, you say kahvaltı yaptım. So to use the normal collocations, the words coming together, for example, you can say influence considerably, greatly. We can say greatly, strongly. So you can use this dictionary to prepare yourself when you're writing, practicing. You can use this and search for the words that you are using. And also, another source I want to introduce is Thesaurus Dictionary. So sometimes you want to use the word, for example, serious. You want to say my boss is serious, but you used it once and you don't want to repeat it. You don't want to say it again and again. So in your practice, you can use this thesaurus.com, a dictionary of synonyms and antonyms. You can come and check for the words that are used, here are given to you here. So you can see, for example, for serious, we have a few options. You should be careful. All these words are not exactly, the thing you're looking for. There are, small differences. You need to also check the words you find here in the dictionary. For example, thoughtful. It's not a serious person could be a thoughtful person, but, uh, maybe you don't mean that your manager is a thoughtful person, but severe, strict. So this is maybe the best word for you. You want to say my boss is very serious, and usually he is working very severely, and uh, so this is what you want to exactly use. So this could be one of the, honest maybe is not what you really mean, here. So, but you can use this to look for the words that have similar meaning to what you want to say. And then, so you can practice and, learn to use different words, synonyms, and then use the collocations, so in order to improve your writing. Uh, this is very important. As I said, for example, if you write very much influence, something influenced me very much, it's not, the right style. It's like kahvaltı yedim. Maybe you sometimes say kahvaltı yedim. It's not wrong, but which one is better? Kahvaltı yaptım. This is the normal one, right? So, but what if you have mistakes? So, if you have too many mistakes, even if your style is good, but you have too many spelling mistakes, maybe a word formation mistake, you use an adverb instead of an adjective, or you use like a wrong form for like noun instead of an adjective. So you cannot get good band score. It's also important, So the same about grammar. So obviously, if you have too many grammar mistakes, you cannot get a good score. In order to get a good score, you need to produce frequent error-free sentences. Your sentences shouldn't have errors, So there's a small difference between error and mistake, you know. But well, I'm not going to go into it now, but just know that you shouldn't make mistakes, obviously. And more importantly, you need to use a variety of complex structures. This is very important. So look, for example, uh, I'm going to give you a few sentences in just simple forms. Uh, my friend's name is John. John is a very smart student. I like John. He is very funny. He tells a lot of jokes. So and now I am just making sentences which are all very short. All of them are to be verbs. He is very smart. Simple present. I like him. So can I get a good score with this? Unfortunately not. So you need to use a variety of tenses, different tenses. For example, uh, my best friend's name is John, whom I've known for a long time. I'm using the present perfect grammar here. I've known him for a long time. I like him because he is a very funny person. So I'm joining two sentences to make one using a linking word because. So dependent, independent clause. So for example, I say, he is the kindest person I've ever known. So I'm using superlative adjective, and I'm saying he is the kindest person that, so that clause that I've ever known. So I'm making long sentences with a more complex structure. So this is more normal, right? And this is actually a better writing. So if you have a variety of complex structures. So uh, there was a lot of, theoretical talk. So I think I just told you the most important points. Well, if you had any questions, please go ahead and ask me if you want to study IELTS or not. Doesn't matter. If you want to do self-study, I would just be happy to help. It doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter. And I would be happy to help. So uh, just don't hesitate to ask me any questions you have. So thank you very much for watching, and I hope that it helped. So just to summarize what I said, I just mentioned different criteria for getting a good score on writing IELTS, and I stressed the importance of task response. So sometimes some students say, well, teacher, I had a very good level of vocabulary. Teacher, I used this word on exam. I've used that word. I used many idioms. And teacher, I used not only, but also. I used, for example, although I used if clauses. And then they get a low score. Teacher, I got 5. I got 5.5. I got 6, teacher. Why? And I know why. It's just because they are focusing too much on using different words and using different grammatical structures that they just forget that they are not actually answering the question clearly. So that's the most important reason. And unfortunately, that's the main reason. Even my colleagues cannot get a good score on writing. You know, Speaking is a little bit different. So for speaking, the task response, task achievement is not an issue. Being fluent is more important than being accurate, you know. But for writing, actually, it's essential to be accurate. It's essential to be clear and concise, to say the most in the least words. Rambling doesn't work on writing. Just writing words and saying more and more about one topic, it's not going to work. Most students just want to write 250 words, you know, because if you don't write 250 words, your score will be affected negatively. So, in order to just write 250 words, they just ramble. They just say, talk and talk, write and write. But, unfortunately, this is not going to work. Organization, task response is very, very important in writing. So uh, I hope that this emphasis actually could have the effect I desire on you. I hope that you will pay more attention to the structure and to the task achievement. And if there's anything I can help, please let me know. You can always text me on WhatsApp, and I'm always there to help you. Thank you for watching, and hope to talk to you soon.